Yo, when I spit bars in a rave, man, I go hard like Santan.
Hello and welcome to another TLF podcast, TouchlineGunners, and we are here with my boy G DZ. How you doing?
I'm good, brother. I'm good. Not bad. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad, man. Not too bad. You been enjoying this international break?
Not really. Yeah, not really.
Yeah, I hate the scheduling, to be honest. Of the early season, man. Like it's too truncated every time, man. We've been waiting 3 months, and then you have 3 games, and then they say, yeah, hold that for another 2 weeks. And I'm not that interested in international football, to be honest, unless it's the tournaments. And seeing the way Nigeria are disgracing themselves,
Boy, oh boy,
in this qualifying campaign, bring back club football, man. That's all I'm going to say. So, a lot of Arsenal players have been featuring for their national team. So, this makes a huge, huge difference, I think, to, maybe the first couple of years under Arteta when, it'll be international break and our guys are just there doing 2 weeks of training. Do you know what I'm saying? Like they're not linking up with the national team or anything like that. So I do think this is another indicator of how far we've come under this current regime, to be honest. So we do have a number of performances to discuss internationally. And I think it will be good to start with the England guys, right? Because we have a number of English players now in the Arsenal call, very un-Arsenal-like if you came up on Arsene Wenger. We've got Declan Rice featuring heavily for England. Noni Madueke, I think Eze started the first game. Marsley Skelly started the first game. And then obviously we had Saka injured, so he wasn't in this squad. So Madueke, let's start there because it seems like Thomas Tuchel had a lot to say about his performances. And let me pull up the quotes now because I thought they were quite interesting. And let's get that here. So he did praise him quite a lot in his pre and post match comments, and he said, sorry, my ad blocker, I need to refresh that. He said he said he has the speed and he has the ability to win 1v1 duels. I'm very happy that he scored today, was involved in goals, because this is something he needs to add to his game: efficiency, being involved in goals and goals with assists and finishes and goals. He said goals so many times here. So that's why I'm very happy today, because he played with a hunger and with a directness. On top of that, he needs to stay focused, and I'm most happy about his attitude today, the reaction after ball losses, the work that he put in to help Reece James, because we played a back 4 against the back 5. So to help against the wing backs and to push forward and do pressing. The work rate is what I like the most in his performance today. And yeah, from there, he's fast, he's direct, he likes to dribble. That's what we want from him. So what do you make of those comments? I see the doctor has been taking those comments in as well on the TL. You know what he's like.
Yeah, he's gone crazy. That's what he's doing.
So yeah, what do you make of those comments? So I thought they were quite interesting myself.
Yeah, interesting. I think it's similar to what managers have been saying about Madueke. I think Enzo Maresca said it last season at times. When it was positive, when it also felt like it was negative, and he's probably not doing enough. I think Arteta has indicated that he thinks he has the skill set to go and be a really threatening and good player in the Premier League. He already thinks he's one of the most threatening wide players in the league. And Tuchel has made those comments before this game, and then after this game, he was obviously very complimentary. So in some way, definitely is encouraging. I think with Madueke, it's a player that I'm not that big of a fan of, but I do recognize that he has a lot of threat. My issue with him is that I don't know if he can turn this threat, this chaos and threat that he creates, into productivity. I know Tuchel has mentioned efficiency there as a big part of what he needs to improve. That final action is just too scruffy, and sometimes too unintelligent. If he can, I think I said it in the group chat, if he can up that by like 25%, you're already looking at a value add, just because he is so threatening and brings so much chaos. But if you can't up that, then he's just going to be that player where people always talk about imagine if, imagine if. No, it's about football. It's about application. Can you turn these things into reality? Can you turn these things into consistent touch points, consistent metrics? So it's one to monitor. I'm trying to stay positive with this one. I think he's given people encouragement, to be honest, early on. I wasn't super encouraged for the Liverpool performance, to be honest, because I think that was one of the games where that was a typical Madueke performance. He goes past the guy, and then the shot is not quite right, or he could have passed it and someone would have scored. But I think his attitude has been exemplary. Like he looks like he's working, looks like he's trying, he looks like he's taking on his man. And I hope that can lead to things, and I hope that he can find that 25%. If it's more than 25%, you'd have a really, really good player. But I just struggle to see it's going to be more. It just seems to be like that's kind of his game. But I don't doubt that there could be improvements. So I think encouraging. I think he's obviously had a good international break. Seems to be like not a regular at England, but seems to be that he's going to be in the squad for the World Cup next year. Even if he's going to be a squad for England. So, barring injuries, he's pretty much going to the World Cup. And keeping it up for Arsenal. So yeah.
Yeah, it is interesting because I think as well the comments are always really when they talk about attitude. I think people kind of can get it misconstrued in some ways as well when they talk about, and I think people lean towards his attitude off the pitch rather than on it, which is what I think Tuchel's mainly referring to here, right? And his attitude to I think working hard on the pitch, because I think when Maresca has spoken about it in the past as well. I can see that sort of leaning towards how much is he willing to work once he's not completed the dribble, once he has lost the ball, etc. And I think for me personally, now that he's in Arsenal, and I don't want to, I don't know too much about the Chelsea back room and what it's like on the training pitch, but I feel like we maybe have what I would expect is a more serious environment given sort of what we have been competing for in recent years, and him coming into that environment, he's probably looking around and seeing that actually I can't necessarily get away with losing the ball and not working hard, because fundamentally, number one, I'm going to lose my spot because we got Saka, we got competition in the positions that he plays, and number two, he just won't play if he's not willing to do that work, right? So I do find it encouraging, and the thing, like you, the thing for me is this threat, this 1v1 ability, it has to lead to output, right? Because we're not here dribbling for dribbling's sake. Like the Liverpool game, I actually thought he played quite well. He was clearly our most threatening player, best attacker on the day for sure. But he had 3 shots. I think 2 of them got blocked. One of them, Alisson saved well, I think. But I need those to turn into goals. And do you remember the Community Shield game when we first signed Havertz? Yeah, and he, I thought, had a good game that day, troubled their centre backs. And he had 2 big chances, one off his right foot, one off his left foot in the box. And I said that was a good performance, but we need that to turn into goals for this signing to be a successful one. And I feel the same with Madueke, right? Like, it's not enough that you're just threatening that you're the best attacker on the day, because that needs to lead us to points. Because without the goals, You know, we're not going to hit our targets for the season, right? So in this period, I don't know if Saka's going to be fit for Nottingham Forest. I personally would like to see Madueke start again, even if they say Saka's, you know, fit in quote marks. And the reason for that is I want Saka to come back and be at 100% so that we're not worrying about hamstring tweaks and strains and this, that, and the other. And that is the whole reason why Madueke is here in the squad, that we can take these minutes off him so we don't have to rush him back, so we don't have to put undue stress on his muscles and that kind of thing as well. So if he does play against Nottingham Forest, I'm going to need some G&A, my guy. I'm going to need something, because fundamentally, that's what this season is about, man. Goals, assists, 3 points, points accumulation. That's it. You know, so we've dropped points already directly against Liverpool as well. So their fixture list looks a lot more reasonable now after the first 3 games. So we now need to, you know, put a march on and make sure we're climbing that table accordingly, right? So not just him, who played and did well in the international break. Declan Rice played. He got a goal, got 2 assists over this international break. Scored a good header at the back post. I think that's some of his box to box development coming out as well in England. He scored quite a few goals in the last few games under Thomas Tuchel. I think he scored 3 goals since Tuchel has taken charge. So it looks like, you know, Tuchel is, you know, doing sort of similar things to Arteta in terms of getting him attacking the box. And then obviously his corner delivery is still A1. And I think, you know, where do you think he stands right now in terms of set piece deliveries, you know, world football? I think he's probably right up there, you know.
I don't think there's many better. I think on corners, I think Saka on corners. I think Joshua Kimmich is crazy delivery on corners as well. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, on corners, I think Saka and him are literally specialists on corners. Like the way they whip the ball, the flat flight of the ball. Yeah, I think they're both freaks. But yeah, Kimmich is really good from corners as well. And then, you know, just set pieces in general. I think there's obviously a lot of players with good delivery, and that can score. Also from set plays, like Szoboszlai scored against us the other week. I don't think he's got as good of a delivery as Rice, though. Like Rice's delivery is like so consistent from the left or from the right. I know we use Odegaard at times. I think we should be going Rice and Saka on most deliveries, to be honest. Just because, you know, the way they can whip the ball is different. So yeah, I definitely think he's one of the best in Europe at that. And I find it quite interesting, yeah, but people always do open play and non-open play XG, and people always do, oh yeah, set plays though. I mean, you guys need to start understanding that this is part of the game. It's the same as if you play, basketball. If someone is a free throw shooter, a 3-point shooter, a 2-point shooter, there are specialists that allow you to break the game open, break the game wide, like essentially get an advantage. So trying to discount it is just stupid, because managers obviously lean into it. Why is Tuchel using Rice on, you know, set plays? Because he's one of the best corner takers in the world. You need to try get these advantages. Football is a game of very, you know, small margins compared to other sports where you can make a couple mistakes but you can get it back, and football is way harder to do that. So yeah, a massive value add, to be honest, and kind of coming out of nowhere. It's kind of something that Arteta and that team have discovered and pushed him towards doing, because I don't remember him taking. I think he might have taken direct free kicks at times at West Ham, but he didn't score, and I don't remember him taking corners.
Yeah, I seen a tweet from, I think, 2023, early 2023, like late in the season, from a West Ham fan, and they said David Moyes putting Declan Rice on corners one of the worst decisions I've ever seen. Right, it was very unpopular with their fans. Like, you go in the comments and stuff, and like the West Ham fans are agreeing with him. And it's very funny because it's like, you know, some managers, they've got the vision, you know, and the fans don't quite see it. Because I think I first the first time he took the corner for Arsenal, I was thinking like, yo, what's going on here? You know, I think I seen the F2 freestylers video with Declan Rice, and he was doing some mad crossfield passes and volleys and this kind of thing. So I was like, you know what, let me see what he's saying first. But I did think he's a bit strange because obviously he's 6'1", 6'2". He's decent in the air. I think he could probably improve in the air actually, but you know, you're thinking that's another aerial threat in the box. And our corner deliveries weren't bad before that. I always thought Martinelli's quite a good corner taker, actually, and ESR was a good corner taker as well, when they were both on set pieces. And then Rice has just taken it to an absolutely next level. And where I do agree with you is on the fact that, you know, it is an added weapon in the Arsenal. But why I'll just push back slightly on the open play versus set piece thing is that, you know, the open play thing is definitely always going to be your main source of chance creation and goals, and they don't have to be mutually exclusive. So like the top teams will get the most corners, right? So it makes sense to be good at them. But then also, if you are amazing in open play and amazing from set pieces, then, you know, the levels can just go, you know, supernova. Do you get what I'm saying? So I do think that if there is an issue with open play chance creation, then you know that will fundamentally rear its head at some point in the season, because you're not going to score from a corner every single match. But what you can do is score from open play in every single match. You're more likely to score an open play from every single match than you are from corners. Personally, is the way that I view it. So, you know, that's my only pushback. But I think your overall point is a fair one. So,
I hear that. I hear that, but I do think you could score from corners every match. That's the max. That's maximizing. Do you know what I mean? That's what I'm looking at. Like, if you get 10 corners a game, can you score 1 goal from those 10 corners? It's a numbers game. If we get 15 corners, do you know what I mean? The probability rises. So yes, if we're camped in that box, it's just a numbers game. I'm pretty sure that's how the Arsenal staff look at it. That, you know, yeah, we're packed in the area. When, you know, they're playing 10 men behind the ball. Okay, we'll get some corners, then we'll score from them, because we can and we should. If we get this amount of corners, we should be scoring. And I bet that's how they approach it. Like, if we had 8 corners today, we should have created this amount of XG. Same way as an open play. You know, I don't think one should take over the other. Both are very important. Probably open play more important because the ball's more in open play. But, you know, there are games where the ball is not in open play that much. And that's the crazy part about football. Like, people always say it's like this game that is being played, but a lot of times it is like, you know, teams delay you, teams make you take throw-ins, corners, free kicks, all these things, and then the ball's not even in play much. So it's a game that you have to maximize on both ends. So yeah, I do think we need to improve open play creation and finishing and execution. I think on set plays we are pretty strong.
Yeah, agreed. I think the thing that I do really like though is that every time we get a corner, you're thinking, boom, this could be a goal. You know what I mean? Which is what the opposition teams must be thinking as well, right? Which because some I think I can't remember where I've read it, but it's almost like some teams used to view some of these set pieces as an opportunity to rest, you know, and not just your legs, but also your brain a little bit, because you get a chance to reset and then go again. But with Arsenal, there's no resting. You know, there's no resting, so you're always alert whether the ball's in play or whether it's on a dead ball as well. So, so that I do really like about our set piece threat. I didn't watch the England games in detail, so I've only seen sort of a couple of match comps on Eze, but I think he started in the 10 for England. He didn't necessarily pull up any trees, but I do think it's good. You know, he's getting more minutes in his legs. Do you think he's ready to start now for us on the weekend?
I hope so, to be honest. Just by virtue of the fact that Saka's injured, or there's rumors he's apparently ready to play this weekend, and I wouldn't be surprised if Saka's a sicko, man. Wouldn't be surprised if he's pushing to play. But yeah, same as you, I feel like Nani should probably start this game. And then who do we have on the left? No, I'm not gonna lie to you, Trossard. I think Trossard's been injured recently. I see Trossard as a off the bench value add. When we have a couple injuries, maybe start. Like I don't really see him as a starter. So it's between Martinelli and Eze. And being honest, I'm very down on Martinelli currently. And that's someone that's been supportive of him and been quite high on him. But I quite simply see a regression in the player, regression in this threat, regression in this execution, regression in this decision making. Like people say, this is the same guy. It's not the same guy. I don't believe that. I think that's trying to rewrite history. It's not the same guy. He's become worse. I think the threats or the opposition we're facing, the way they're playing us, has asked him to do things a little bit more nuanced, and he just hasn't been able to do that, and it has gone worse and worse from then. Like I don't even think he was as bad last season or the season before that. But yeah, so far from what I've seen from him, it's not looking good. He just looks out of ideas. So I think he needs to be benched. And I think he probably needs a bit of time out at the team. Hopefully he can come back with new energy. I remember when he was benched before, I think it was Smith Rowe playing left wing, and then he came back with a lot of energy and sort of enthusiasm. I think he probably needs that a bit. Taken out of the team, feeling that he needs to play better. Very clear message that he needs to play better. So yeah, for me, then it leaves it to just Eze, because I don't want Trossard to start. I think Martinelli's not in the right frame to start. And Eze, I think, is obviously I'm a big fan of the player. So in my opinion, he needs to start. He started the England game. Don't see how he wouldn't be match fit enough to start for us against Forest. I understand the game planning scenarios and whatever. If Forest play a high line all of a sudden because of Ange and we're trying to get him behind with Madueke and Martinelli, I can see some of the thinking, but I still would play as ahead of Martinelli. 100%.
Yeah, agreed. And I think Madueke and Gyokeres are clearly going to start, right? From what I understand, I doubt we throw Saka straight into the starting lineup, even if he is fit. And then I just think for balance, right? Like against Liverpool, I didn't think the lineup was actually particularly balanced, just in terms of guys who are comfortable in possession, comfortable with the ball at their feet. I know Madueke's a great 1v1 guy, but I feel like he could dubs you or he could lose the ball at any moment. So it's not necessarily like he's super secure with it, and I feel the same with Gyokeres as well. And I just felt that we needed a few more actual like ball handlers, on the pitch together, right? So I think Eze was needed. I think Odegaard, he's had a stormer this international break as well. I've seen he's creating the most chances, this, that, and the other, most key passes and all of that stuff. So I feel like with the two of them together, that should be like your 30 deep block breaker lineup that we have here. We've got, the guys who want to threaten him behind. In Gyokeres and Madueke, and the guys who can play some of those passes, can dribble, can carry the ball as well, to sort of balance out the front four. And for me, that front four, has to. There's no. I feel anything else would just be like so unacceptable to me, right? Which is maybe like, do you know what I mean? Like if you just viewing it as like, all right, what is our strongest lineup? What is the way we can damage teams the most? It just has to be Eze, Odegaard, Madueke, Gyokeres, right? In terms of who's fit. And when Saka's back, Saka comes in for Madueke, right? And that just has to be the team. Especially because for me, with Ange, I know people are saying the high line stuff, this, that, and the other, but he didn't play a high line in that Europa League final, man. They defended,
Pretty
astutely.
badly. They defended pretty badly. Yeah.
Yeah, but they were deep. You know, it was a
I
lot
hear
of
what you're
last
saying.
ditch stuff. So I'm not necessarily sure that he's just gonna, go there and say, boom, yeah, now you're gonna start playing on the on the halfway line, especially at the Emirates as
No,
well.
he will play defensively, I think, for sure, and play for counter attacks.
Yeah, so I do expect it to be, a more of a sterner test. Than I'm seeing the Arsenal fans; they're just too excited for that appointment on the TL this week. After that was announced, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm not sure I'm in that same boat. Personally, we did do well against Nottingham Forest last season, and I need to see us continue that, because we're actually already +2 from last year. Actually, no, I think +1 now, because we lost at Anfield, where we drew last year, and then won at Old Trafford, where we drew the season before. So +1 on equivalent games from last year. But I need us to, keep that going and try and get points where we can on last year, and this would be a big disappointment to drop points here, I think, because then we've got, I want to say, Man City,
Yeah,
City afterwards, and then Newcastle
and I'm
as
not,
well
I'm not,
coming up.
I'm not,
So
I'm not, I'm not believing those injury lists that they drop in. Like, people are
yeah,
falling for this shit. I'm not believing it, man. That he's every international break. Everyone, I think the Mamouche one looks real because he's obviously come off, injured off the pitch. But these other ones, I haven't seen these guys actually be injured. They take it a lot. Yeah. So
I think Cherky, they said, is out for a few months though. They said he's out for 3 months. And Foden, I've not seen him at all this season, to be honest. So I don't know what's happening there. As long as they got, they got Haaland, as long as they got, I think Rodri will be fit for our game. I don't even know who City have, man. I'm sorry, we need to be slapping them. We actually need to be slapping them. Defensively, I'm just not seeing it with them.
Defensively, I don't see it with them, but like, I do think people do underestimate them as a team. They are still City. Like, they still have, if Rodri is playing, if Reines is playing, those are very good players. It'll be a tough test, and I think it's at home. So I think the expectation is for us to win that one. So yeah, I'm with you. We should be winning that. And we can. But it's just, I have more respect for them than other people now. People just like, City, we'll pack them in. It's like, bro, relax, man.
No, I need another pack in, bro. I'm not gonna lie, man. They packed us too many times, bro. I need revenge.
I hear it.
I need revenge. But yeah, no, I think Eze has to start, man. And because I think, talking about the Liverpool game and then internationals as well, right? So Arteta chose to start Merino in Liverpool game. Marino's gone away to internationals, packed in a hat-trick, scored 4 goals in 2 games for Spain. So what do you make of that? Do you think then that kind of, because the word on the TL was like, oh yeah, they said we played 3 DMs. Look at how good Merino is.
Marino's
for
definitely
Spain.
not a DM.
He's not a DM. He's not a DM. He's a centre midfielder. He's a centre midfielder. So I know the 3 DM stuff is hyperbole, but for me, I think that angle is very disingenuous about showing that he is playing an attacking midfielder, this, that, and the other. Because
I'm not gonna lie to you. Mika Marino reminds me of Jude Bellingham. They play football the same way. Do people call Jude a DM or CM? No, they call him a second striker. I think Marino is like an 8 second striker type, but more like, the deeper he goes, the more threat he's to us. He's really only good in the final third or when he's the finishing touch. Don't get me wrong, Jude is a better player, but in terms of player profiles, they're very similar. Both tall, strong, combative guys. Jude is better athletically. He can sprint longer, faster, whatever. But Merino is good athletically, especially in duels. And then in terms of what they do in the final third, is they seek space to score and maybe assist. I think Jude is the top end of this type of player. and Merino is somewhere in the middle, maybe towards the top end. Not at the top end. I think he's coming because at the end of the day, this is a guy that plays for Arsenal. He plays for the Spanish national team, or probably the best team in international football right now. And he's scoring and putting goals for these teams. Like, don't get me wrong, I think his overall game is not the best. I think he has flaws. I think he needs the game to be played at a certain pace to really do some midfielding. But when it comes to crashing the box and finishing moves, he that's his specialty, I think. And I think he's not. I would see him as a second striker type of 8. He's a bit versatile, so he can play maybe deeper to help out with some of these elements. But I would like him to someone like Jude. So if Jude was playing in an Arsenal team and it was Jude, Rice, and flipping Zubimendi, people are not going to be crashing out.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Brother. That's the truth.
I don't know, man, because I think
I see it, man.
I think though, fundamentally, I feel like Jude has a lot more on the ball qualities than Merino, which is where I see the big difference.
What is Jude doing?
What is not that he's doing loads in that team, yeah. Because for me, the issue that I have with playing Merino there is the combination of players you've got around him as well matters. And you look for Real Madrid when Jude is playing. You got Modric there. You got in last season they struggled for this reason, right? But in Jude's first season,
I agree with the combination thing, but I'm saying like they play in Tchouaméni and Camavinga,
yeah,
and
his impact in the final,
to our midfield,
and his impact in the final third has dwindled for Madrid in that season when they've not had the more technical guys around them to kind of support, right? Because for me the point was with the Liverpool lineup, you got Martinelli, Gyokeres, Madueke front three. Madueke and Martinelli are actually what you could call threatening wingers who will be finishers of moves, but they don't really create for other people in that same way that you would like a Saka or an Eze, right? So now you got a front three. I think Madueke is probably the only one who can create Madueke and Gyokeres to an extent, but I think Gyokeres not necessarily to the high level of creating something for themselves out of nothing. Martinelli definitely can't do that. And then you got Rice Zubimendi behind him, and Zubimendi is probably the most creative of the three midfielders there, and you wouldn't really call him a creative midfielder. Then you look at Spain, you got Zubimendi, who I've already called creative, but then you got Pedri, super creative. You got Nico Williams. He's not really a threat per se, but he's a super creative winger. Then you got Yamal on the other side, which is, let's not joke with that one. And then you got Oyarzabal, who's like a false 9, right? So it almost like allows someone like Merino to really flourish because you've got all of these technical players around him. Whereas you look at that Arsenal team and it's the complete opposite. And Merino's probably, third most technical player there of that front sort of 5-6 players, right? And so I just don't think it would work. So if you then put Merino in there, but then you had Eze on the left, right, or Merino with Eze and Saka on the right, then I think, maybe I can see that midfield. You can see the flat midfield three. They all take turns, this, that, and the other. But minus that, I just thought the balance was a bit crazy, to be honest. Like you see with Liverpool on the clock when they played Fabinho, Wijnaldum, Henderson midfield, you can say it's kind of similar to that. But you got Salah, Mane, and then Firmino up top. Salah's not the most technical in terms of security, this and the other, but he's capable of crazy stuff on the ball, very creative. And then you got Mane, madman for those seasons. And you got Firmino, one of the most technical sort of players that we had in the Prem at the time when he was there. So, I think the balance needs to be much better if you're trying to deploy that midfield three.
I don't disagree on the balance thing. I just think when you look at it, like, we lost the game, so there's obviously more outcry. But when you look at that midfield, and when Real Madrid play Jude with Camavinga and Tchouaméni, the most creative passer in that midfield is Camavinga. So same with Zubamendi in our team, and then Rice similar to Tchouaméni or whatever, and then Merino similar to Jude. So it's basically the white version of the Real Madrid midfield. Don't get me wrong, I don't think that midfield constellation is great. I would prefer a different midfield constellation, but as you've said, we've seen this type of midfield deployed to be physical, to try dominate the middle of the park, but then also try transition on people. I think you made a good example with the Liverpool midfield, which is very hardworking, very industrious. Not a lot of creativity in that midfield that you mentioned from Liverpool. And I think similar to the midfield we had, is then meant to go to the wide guys who are dynamic, running behind, running past players, which we played the most dynamic wide guys that we had available, Madueke, Martinelli. So I think the plan was, for me, pretty clear. We are trying to be very physical, win this battle in midfield, and then transition on them with pace, with the fastest attack that we can deploy, and with the biggest guys that we can get in the box. So it didn't work. I think for the first half it worked, but then the second half we lacked. I think a little bit of that resilience, also a little bit of that quality. But I don't think Liverpool had that quality apart from that free kick. So they didn't have it in open play. So ultimately, for me, the game was a stalemate. Don't disagree, the midfield constellation not to my liking, but I see why he did it. Like, I've seen other teams, use this type of midfield constellation. It's just changing kind of the way you see Merino. And listen, I know you man hate Merino, so when you man see him on that team sheet, I know it's already crash out season, man. It's already crash out season. The thing is, Merino does some good stuff, but he does some really weird stuff as well. Like, he'll just throw himself to the ground and he'll lose like easy balls sometimes, but then he make a very difficult ball stick. So he's an odd player. And I've compared him to Jude, but he's not the same quality of Jude, of course. But he reminds me of Jude. Like, he just does similar things. And so yeah, I think for this game though against Forest, we need to go with the creative players. I don't think Forest have as much threat. We are at home. And I think we have with Zubamendi and Rice enough physicality midfield. Odegaard and Eze can bring the creativity, and Madueke and Gyokeres need to bring the goals. Those are the guys that need to score on the weekend. So yeah, let's go from there, kind of thing.
Yeah, I hear you, man. I hear you. And so we did make a signing since we played Liverpool in Merino Hincapie. I see that he got man of the match twice over this international break. Once playing at centre back and then another playing at left back. So that kind of shows his quality in both positions, I think. And we do have one listener's question from, and let me get this up now. I think it's from Sam E. I want to say, no, King Keshi 13. He says, "Morning, fellas. A bit premature, but based on his attributes and what we've seen, heard about Hincapie, do you think he eventually ends up being a starting left back at some point this season? And if so, where does that leave Miles Lewis-Skelly with Arteta being so reluctant to use him in centre midfield?"
It develops, man. It develops. I think obviously people are trying to project and trying to see what's happening X, Y, and Z. But for me, I just look at and to be honest, this is a bit I think I'm quite fair on the recruitment team and Arteta and stuff. I'm not as critical as others. But like the recruitment in the defensive areas is like literally phenomenal. Like, how you getting Mosquera, Hincapie, Calafiori, Tomiyasu thought was a brilliant buy. Timber. I think we are recruiting like literally like top players in defense, and then in attack, like we're signing one top player. Gyokeres might be one. It's not like we're signing the peak of the peak, but in defense we're signing the peakest guys. But up top we're signing maybe one peak guy. Gyokeres question marks. Madueke is, it's just it doesn't fill you with the same excitement. I do get why people crash out more than I do about these type of things, because I think they literally doing 10 out of 10 recruitment in the defensive areas, and then up top it does leave some to be desired, especially in terms of outgoings as well. We are much faster discarding players in defense than in attack. It's just interesting. So yeah, I think he's going to be a huge value add, just simply because he can play left back and left centre back very, very competently. And ultimately, I think Skelly's role long term is going to be in midfield. So you should look at it as this might push Skelly into get midfield minutes. This might push Skelly into get minutes at 6, and so I don't think it's a bad thing. Skelly is also only 18, 19. I know you guys want to win now, so keep that in mind when you're talking about how an 18, 19-year-old needs to play. Don't disagree that they should be playing a good amount of minutes and games, but it needs to be a value add. It needs to be improving the team. So if the Hincapie can come in and Skelly can come play midfield, that's cool with me, man. We also know Calafiori is going to get injured. He's going to go to Paris Fashion Week, Milan Fashion Week. So, Hincapie can play, Skelly can play. They all have I think they all have space and time to play. Plus, when Gabriel was getting injured last year, boy, we had Kivio on that team. I remember Kivio coming on in that game. Was it Liverpool? Yes.
Yeah.
Skelly playing left. Don't get me wrong. I think Skelly obviously was new to that left back role as well. It was early on in the season, but that left hand side, we literally had the game wrapped, and then we got killed. So we need to bulletproof all areas of the team, because you don't know who's going to get injured, who's going to come out in the 80th minute when we 1-0 up. I'm happy Kivio's out and this guy's in, because I think this guy's good.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because the point around the reluctance to use Lewis Skelly at left back. I think the signing points to them not being so reluctant either, right? Because you could say that, replacing Kivio, how are we going to do that? I think they've picked a guy to play left back that can play left back more in this team than he'll probably play centre back. We did do the scouting piece for him. He actually, to me, maybe looks more like a centre back in our team than a left back, but maybe the height and stuff like that might mean he doesn't end up playing that as much. But I think that means that I can see a world where this means Lewis Skelly gets more minutes in midfield, not less. You get what I mean? So you see the signing of someone like Norgard rather than an Agume or something like that. It points to me that they're future planning and preparing Skelly for a role in midfield in the future without necessarily putting the pressure on him if we do end up getting injuries or people not being able to play in those positions, to be honest. So yeah, for me, I like the signing. I can see. I do think it's horses for courses type stuff. I would like to see where he's first deployed in the team, whether that is at centre back, whether that is at left back. We do. What's the game we got? We got Port Vale, I think, in a couple of weeks. That next week or something like that. So that will be interesting to see what the lineup is for that. I think Ben White's coming back into fitness. He's supposed to be back after this international break. Then we got, we've obviously got Lewis Skelly, we've got Mosquera, we've got this Hincapie. So, it looks like we can play a very, very strong second string back four, as it were, against whoever comes up. Because, Hincapie he's a league winner. He's a league winning defender, just recently. So, he's not a small boy. Personally, very, very experienced. So, I don't think he's come here to be, anyone's backup and not to play a significant amount of games. So, yeah, I think that will be a very, very interesting addition for us to watch more more closely as the season continues. There is one more listener's question as well that I wanted to ask, which I know you'll like here, German, from Ranch Dingers. He said, should we sell Havertz and make Merino the full-time backup striker?
Boy, man, I'm talking about selling Havertz. You guys better be careful you don't jack Gyokeres' chain when he's back. That's what you guys should be looking out for.
Boy, he might not, man. He might not. If Gyokeres keeps playing like flipping Brock Lesnar, yeah, and not bagging, then his chain can get snatched quick. That's the simple facts of it, bro.
Quickly.
But this is the thing.
Haven't snatched Jesus' chain. Like Gyokeres could be light food. I can't lie to you.
This is the thing. This guy, he needs to drop the pounds. You know, he needs to drop the pounds and he needs to start shooting. So, you know, the funny thing is, I think the criticism, I don't even want to say it's been over the top. I just think it's been expected, right? Because
it was clear that he's going to get that.
Exact 100%, right? So this is, I'm not moved one bit by it. Yeah. The only thing that I need to see is, big man, can you score? I think the first half against Leeds, I was kind of ready to while out, yeah, because I was looking, I was like, in the stadium, Dan, right? That's where I like to see these players up close, right? Like, I can see the whole pitch. I can see what you're doing. You're making these runs. Are the team finding you, this and the other? So that is one thing that I will definitely say, is that I think we need to lean more into his play style than what we have been. I think United, we tried it a bit more, and he's like standing on the ball, that kind of thing. I think those kind of things can happen, but we need to keep doing that, playing those balls into the channels, and then seeing what he can do. I do not think us playing, you know, long balls to his chest, long balls to his head, and stuff like that is going to get the best out of him. I just absolutely don't see that happening. So he does need to improve in these areas. He's back to goal, this, that, and the other. But fundamentally, I think when you buying a guy like this, you do need to play to their strengths. I expect us to play to his strengths when we do have the likes of Odegaard, Eze, Saka back in the team. And Eze with a lot more of that, you know, rotation central. Gyokeres might spin out to the left and that kind of thing. And I can see that definitely working to his favour, and also, you know, being able to play some of those final passes. But fundamentally, the only way this guy's going to shut people up is if he scores. If he scores goals, man. I don't really care about, you know, the fancy flicks, the link up so much, because our build up is still A1. You know, as we saw in the Leeds game, I think they only had a shot. I think they didn't have a shot past 22 minutes or something like that. At the back, we're very, very good at shutting up shop and keeping teams out, getting the ball to the final third. But now, once the ball's in the final third, I'm gonna need you to bag, my guy. I'm gonna need you to bag. So I think, you know, with him, it's all about getting on the score sheet for me. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, Gyokeres. So Gyokeres, I position myself to get a win-win. If Gyokeres bags, I'm cool. Like, I wasn't in the Seska over everything camp. Hell no. You know, I picked the guy that I think has more scoring potential for this season now, which is Gyokeres. So if he scores, I'm eating good. I'm fine. If he doesn't score, my boy Havertz is gonna come through and start saving the day again. So for me, you know, I'm so relaxed. Honestly, I know some people are like manic about this and a bit stressed about this. I'm really relaxed because I still think either Gyokeres is going to figure it out. The next couple of weeks he gets sharp. I think the main thing for me looks like sharpness to me. There was one move in the Liverpool game. It was as a pass into Odegaard. Odegaard faking to try to shoot on his right, then playing the reverse. Like, if he's sharp, a sharp striker scores that. It's not necessarily about having the best touch for the type of player Gyokeres is. It's not necessarily about having the best touch, the best link, going past the man or anything like that. It's being sharp and alert. So in that scenario, I needed him to be there. That's when I realized, okay, he's not quite there yet. because that's what my expectation would have been. Like, he would have been alert to the situation, hoping that as a second ball or hoping that someone plays the pass. You need to gamble on that and then score. And he didn't. So I was like, okay, it's going to take him maybe a couple of weeks, a couple of match days to get there. If he does get there, then he will score. Like, he can finish. I think that much is clear. He can finish and shoot, but he needs to get sharper. And if he doesn't do that quick enough or he doesn't execute fast enough, then that scenario of, Havertz coming back from injury, and if he really hasn't played well, Gyokeres, then he will get displaced. If anything, he's got a free run. He's got a very good opportunity. He doesn't have anyone breathing down his neck right now, from the bench. So he should take this opportunity and, fire away. If he doesn't, then he can find himself in a scenario where, he could be benched by November, December. So yeah, it's up to him. So for me, it's a win-win. I think either way, the team is going to function. So yeah, I don't see it too drastic, but ideally we want him to be that value add that we think the striker that I expect him to be. I expect him to score 25 league goals, man. Like, that's my expectation of him. So you've got 2, need to score 23 more. How about you start with Forest? A hat-trick versus Forest wouldn't be bad for you, bro.
Fam, that's it, man. Just get me another brace. I'm not even saying a hat trick, man. Get me another brace, man, and then we can do business. I might start talking a bit heavy, man. If you score the next 2, the next 2 home games, yeah, Forest and then Man City, then yeah, man, we can start some prop. I
think he needs a goal in a big game, because United, he didn't get the goal. He played bad, I think. Liverpool, he didn't get the goal. He didn't get the moment either. And he just needs that moment where he played in a big game, scored in a big game, and has done a mass celebration. I think that will lift a lot of the pressure on him. So City is a very good opportunity. As I said, I think he's got a very clear run. Like, Forest at home, brother. Net.
Yeah, net.
Then City at home. Net.
That's what it's about, man. That's what I'm telling you, man. You need to bag something. So that was another listener's question. It says, hate to be them, and what are you guys' thoughts? I do think, though, conclusive statements on Gyokeres at this stage, I think, is just pretty silly. This is conclusive statements on anyone who's not had a full preseason, who has just joined the new team after 3 games and 2 90 minutes is very stupid, I think, personally.
Yeah,
so,
I always I'd rather be correct than be early. Like, I think a lot of early shouts are going out, and it's like, bro, I've seen you, man, do these early shouts before, and then it's just been come back to bite you like 3 months later. Like, my bag. I'm a bookmark some shit.
yeah, exactly. So I think some people are, they want to be first, or they want to, be, I told you, or they've already made their opinion and they want to come back and reaffirm that and say, look, I told you guys. But yeah, I think I'm reserving judgment. But I'm not going to lie, this is something that I did want over others that we were linked to. And if you don't bang, you don't bang, right? I don't mind being wrong on someone like that, and I still will probably hold that opinion, seeing how other players are looking, so far as well. So
do you know what I like with this one as well? Like, he is on a limited time to prove his worth. Like, he's not, the Šeško thing would have been a long thing, because if he has bad periods, people be like, he's young, he's going to develop 2-3 years. Whereas this Gyokeres thing is like, he needs to bang now. If he doesn't bang, then we probably have to look at transitioning him out. And that's like, I like that we have to be quite clear cut with this. I don't mind, this longer term and looking at players developing, but I didn't really want it for the centre forward. So yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. And final question from Sam E91. He says, how many games do you give Noni this season, and what proportion of them are at left wing, left midfield, if any, considering Eze is local?
Bro, Ateta doesn't even know himself, man. It's all dependent on availability.
Yeah.
Noni's just a piece that he uses left or right, when he needs them, to add something in the game. He's just a squad piece, I think.
He's there, man. And look, fundamentally, I want to use him as much as possible, right, where we can, because that means that we are allowing Saka to stay at optimum. So, for me, one of the big concerns that I've always had with Saka is that he starts the season well. He really peaks in that sort of Christmas to March time, and then he looks, I think, to really burn out in the running a lot of the time for me, where with his numbers, generally they're just not as good, right? And I would like to see that peak Saka performance for as long as possible in the season. If that means, him not starting against certain teams where we can play Noni, or him, coming off at 60 because we're already 2-3-0 up and he can put his feet up and chill, then yeah, that's calm. That's calm with me, to be honest. And that's what I mean by using Noni as much as possible. All of this chat about moving Saka out of position to play Madueke right wing and all of this stuff.
I'm sorry, these men are doing too much too early. It's why is it always anyway? They're doing the same thing they do every season.
Every season, man. Big Saka disrespect. And I think, those who don't hear must feel, so we're gonna see the same thing happen again. Man said, because they were doing it for Ethan last season, and Ethan don't even want to play there, bro. He don't want to play there. So, let's all just chill out, man. But
one thing I've realized is that football fans will find problems where there are no problems. When it's a rich of options that we have here, healthy balance of options, man will invent problems to say, hey man, Saka might be cooked, Saka Shea might be getting, bro, listen, Saka's the best player in this team. I don't know how many times you guys need to see this. I think he needs to get that league title and get that PFA for people to realize that he's the best player in this team. It's just
yeah. I hear you. But Dan, thanks for joining me, listeners. Thanks for tuning in. We will catch you guys with a Forest post match. This international break was kind of crazy. I have got some plans for the next international break, which I think is in October. And then we've got another one in November. Stay tuned for that. Otherwise, we will catch you guys soon. Peace.
bless.
Yo, when I spit bars in the rain, man, I go hard like stand.